Our boats virtual tournament, for those who are participating for the first time, was born out of lockdown. Uh, we actually have interactive coding workshops that we run across the country using our other app called Tanks, and we've reached over 20,000 kids in the past 2 years. But with lockdown, we immediately realized that Tanks is kind of on hold for the rest of the year, and we started making plans. So Boats is our other coding app. It was easier to make Boats virtual. So where Tanks needs us to get tokens and puzzles to kids and they can play on their own or in groups. With Boats, they literally just play on their phones and the scores comes through to us. I need to immediately acknowledge LexisNexis, who is our only sole sponsor for this tournament. It is part of their LexisNexis Cares month. So we are their annual project, and this is part of them reaching out to South Africa. Their staff is also part of this in more than one way. Because it's Heritage Month, we decided to give it an extra heritage flavor. If some of you are not muted, please mute yourself. We're getting feedback. Okay, so I'll tell you now where the theme comes in. Obviously, I'm involved with Nelson Mandela University, so they are partners. And then Lever Foundation is the NPO partner here in Port Elizabeth. With each one of our projects, we had a beneficiary, one of our tournaments, we had a beneficiary project. The first one in May was Coffee for Heroes, which was about distributing coffee to medical workers in hospitals here in Port Elizabeth. The second one was for SANCOP, the guys that takes care of wild birds that are injured, etc., here at our coast. And this time our beneficiary project is this young man, or Godfrey Jacobs from Colchester. On the 2nd of October, he's going to run 32 kilometers as an awareness drive for kids that have been affected by COVID-19. He's seen that in his own community, and we're going to be sponsoring him by helping him to buy shoes, school shoes, to give out to kids, not only in his community. Your own schools could benefit from that. I'll get to that now. So these are the incentives for the tournament, and once again, this would not have been possible without a huge sponsorship from LexisNexis. So we found that distributing data at this stage is good for learners. So that free data worth 7,200 will probably, it depends on how the learners end up, will probably be 51 gig free data vouchers that we distribute to the top 50 learners. If it works differently, it could go down to 100, 500 megs, but my ideal is to have top 50.
It's fine.
There's a few people that's not muted. Please mute yourself. And then your school, we've got two categories. We've got schools participating and NGOs. And the top participating means the school or the NGO that has the most learners participating in the tournament. So each one of you, top school and top NGO, will get 4,000 rands worth of shoes. We're still negotiating on how we would distribute this. My ideal would be, for example, to work with PEP stores, to give a school a voucher, and then you can go and buy shoes at a local PEP stores to distribute to learners in need. Or if you from a school that does not have learners in need, you can obviously pass this on to a group or a school that you know of. We always throw in a 500 rand lucky draw, so any child playing has a chance of winning that. And there's some of you that were nominated by LexisNexis staff. So there's a separate category, and they also get additional incentives as part of the LexisNexis drive. But the top 3 bullets are open to all schools and all learners participating. So the objectives of the tournament, the boats and our whole project is about introducing learners to coding or computer programming, software development. The career that stems out of this is one of the scarcest skills in the country at the moment. We're just simply not producing enough graduates. So from the university side, it's important for us to get learners exposed to coding. Boats is a primary school focus. So the code that the kids do, learners do in boats is grade R to 3. I'm saying that for two reasons. That means no one can be scared of playing it. The kids, the learners really enjoy it. But I also want to emphasize that in both previous tournaments, secondary schools were the learners mostly participating. So don't think that because you're from a secondary school, your learners will find it boring. We've had learners from grade R literally to matric participating in the previous two tournaments. So far, we've had close to probably around 600 to 700 learners that played in the previous two tournaments, and I really think we can push this up this time. The themes are related to multiple choice questions that the learners need to answer when they play. And the themes that we've interwoven into these multiple choice questions are marine pollution or plastics in the ocean. That's the original boats drive. Then because it's September, there's SA heritage questions. We're literally loading them tonight onto the app. And then from, there's a typo there, sorry. And then from the July tournament, we still have questions focusing on COVID-19 awareness. So all in all, it's constructive fun. It boils down to, the multiple choice boils down to the fact that the more the learner plays, the more they know the answers and the higher score they get. So for the learners that do well, by the end, they know all the answers. So we're teaching them on these three topics while they play. So how do schools participate? I'm hoping by tomorrow, latest, by midday, I will email you a flyer that you can send to your learners in one or some ways. You can either WhatsApp it to your learners, you can email it to your learners, or I'll also send you a Word document that has 4 flyers on that you can print and distribute physically. So that's, in the end, the only role that the teacher needs to play is distributing this flyer to your learner. After that, we take over. So this is an example of the JPEG flyer that is very small, and in the past, when lockdown was very serious, this was literally simply just WhatsApped to learners. I've heard of schools at this time around wants to print it out. So you'll be also getting a PDF document that you can print and cut into 4. It's up to you. How you want to distribute this to your learner. And this is your only part. So you don't need to be stressed that I'm going to keep you busy. So how do the learners participate? In that flyer, it will explain all the steps for them. They first need to download the Boats app, which is unfortunately only for Android. We haven't done it for iPhone. It's about 90 megabytes. While they're actually playing, they don't need any data. They can play offline. The only other data that they'll be using is when they start submitting their scores, but that's a very small text that's submitted, 1 kilobyte per submission. Very important, and this is where you could maybe emphasize, but we also try to do it in the flyer, that they use the correct cell phone number. The reason for that is we identify the different players by their cell phone number. So you can't have 10 players playing on the same cell phone. And we also obviously use that cell phone number to contact the winners, distribute the data, etc. I suddenly realized the 2 main incentives I didn't put in the bullets. The top 2 learners will each win a tablet worth over 2,000 Rand. And then it's up to you to make sure that your learners enter the correct school name or the correct NGO, because obviously you want to participate in the top participation category. There's no limit on how many times learners can submit scores. In extreme cases, we had one learner in the previous tournament that submitted over 1,000 times. Obviously, the more you submit, the better your chances of winning are. And some of these learners really take this seriously. When they submit their scores, it comes to a central database, which we manage, and we choose the winners. And then we also contact the winners, learners, and schools within the week after the tournament. Very important to note that my cell phone number is on the flyer. So once your learners start playing, they ask me directly for any problems that they might have. So when does the tournament start? It starts this Saturday at 8 o'clock and it runs till next Saturday midnight. That doesn't mean the learners need to play the whole time. It doesn't even mean they need to start on Saturday. It simply means that during these 8 days, the learners can play on their app and submit scores as many times as they wish and whenever they want to. So there's no, I've heard of learners that are worried about playing for 8 days. You could come in and play for half an hour, or you could come in as many times you want to. Who may participate? Any learners, and I have to emphasize they don't need any previous coding experience. And there's no cost involved for anyone. We try to encourage the learners to send us photos as they play, which we post on our Facebook page just to get a vibe. So you can also encourage your learners to WhatsApp me photos as they are playing. It's good for other learners to see who's playing all over the country. In the previous tournament, I think we had 8 of the 9 provinces covered. As I said, Boats is part of a bigger project called Games Powered by Tangible. We've got 3 apps, Boats, Tanks, and Rangers. If you want to know more about that, you can email or WhatsApp me and I'll send you a link to a 4-minute video. This is also the name of our Facebook page, where we will be keeping players updated as we carry on.